Welcome in, One Nation, to another episode of the Hive podcast. I'm your host, TJ Winger. Today I'm joined by Jacqueline Needle. Jacqueline, thank you so much for taking the time to join me.
Of course.
So the reason I wanted you on the podcast is you and the equestrian team coming off making history. The first NCEA victory in a meet with SUNY New Paltz. Let's just start right there. What did it mean to come away with that 6-4 win?
It was very exciting. We had got on the bus from not winning a lot of meets, but still had a great time, and being able to win this meet and come home was a whole nother type of bus ride because everyone was just so excited, and we were videoing and having a great time.
And the NCEAs in themselves are super interesting because last year you guys competed with them. Auburn, you got Oklahoma. You guys are going against Power 5 D1 programs. This is not any sort of accomplishment that should just be shrugged off. So it's awesome to see y'all get the victory in that NCEA meet. Let's talk about the equestrian program as a whole now. I mean, it is the baby here at Lynchburg Athletics, third year, if memory serves. And what has it been like being a part of a new collegiate program and starting to see it build now 3 years in?
It's really exciting because at first it was kind of just who was on campus and they became part of the team. And then slowly we started recruiting and finding people. And this past year we have a lot of new amazing freshmen, and that's what kind of has built up our team because they are really good. And it's just exciting to see how many more people are looking at the school for the equestrian team. And it's just becoming really big.
So now talking about yourself, what made you get into equestrian and in riding in itself?
So it's been in my family for a while. So I started competing when I was 3 years old in the 3 and under classes.
Whoa.
My grandmother was a judge. My aunt rode. So it was just kind of in the nature to become a horseback rider.
So having that being said, did you expect that it would be something you could do at the college level?
So when I first started riding, going up, I didn't even realize it was such a big deal in college because it wasn't at the time.
Sure.
And the more that I heard about it, I got excited about it, and I ended up switching barns to a coach that actually had a lot of students go NCEA. So when I moved there, I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And I started looking at schools my first year of high school.
Awesome. And then through that process of being recruited and ultimately end up at Lynchburg, can you kind of walk me through that recruitment process?
Yeah, so I sent videos to coaches every week, and I talked to a lot of the big schools. I was actually recruited by TCU and Texas A&M and the big ones, but I ultimately chose Lynchburg because I like the atmosphere of the small school for me, academically, and because I knew that I didn't want to just sit on the bench and be there. I wanted to actually have time to compete against the big schools rather than just watch them do it.
I'd say that's paid off so far. And you talking about that is something similar to that. When I first met Coach Philip Williamson, he said he's competing one-on-one with Oklahoma, TCU, Texas A&M for recruits. And so you are, case in point, that exact example. So while talking about Coach Williamson, how would you describe, he is just such an interesting person. I've loved talking to him. How would you describe Coach Williamson?
He's very committed to our team, and he puts a lot of time and effort into the team, which is obviously paying off because he wants to have a good team, and I know that he has become a part of the NCEA and all of the other organizations with riding to kind of put his point of view into it, and that has really shown to us as riders. He cares for our team.
I think another fun and good development for the program overall is now the horses over at Liberty as opposed to previously being stayed at Sweetbriar. Can you kind of talk about some of the facilities and everything that we have pretty close to home?
Yeah, it's beautiful at Liberty. So they have a farm, and on the farm there are a couple of barns, and one of which is Lynchburg horses. in the whole barn, and we have our own little team room, and they have a big indoor and an outdoor, and it's really lovely, and they're super nice there with having us stay there. It's also great that because when we switched over to Liberty, we got our own Lynchburg horses, which we didn't used to have, and that way we have more riding opportunities because of the amount of horses that we have. Gives us the capability to ride more often and in larger groups.
Awesome. So, a couple more questions for you. Let's start with a funny one, and we're going to talk about humor. Who do you think the funniest person on the equestrian team is? I got to know who I can talk to and get some new jokes and new material to work with.
If you asked a lot of people on the team, I feel like they would say me because I always make people laugh somehow. But if you're asking me, I'd probably say Lily Fraley because she always has something funny to say about everything and makes us laugh during practice and doing silly things.
That's awesome. And last but not least, tell me what you are expecting for the rest of this year, your outlook for the rest of the season, and what your overall goals are.
For me, I felt it was great winning Most Outstanding Player at the first meet of the year, which last year I did not get that award at any of the meets, and I did win my points, but the judge awarded me that this year, so it's kind of a good starting step for me, and I would like to carry that through for the rest of the season and keep not only winning the points, but our team winning Most Outstanding Players at meets. I think that with our team this year, we have a very good shot at coming home with a lot more victories than we did in previous years.
That's awesome. Well, Jacqueline, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That's going to bring a close to this episode of the Hive podcast. Be sure to check back in next week for a new episode. But until then, we are signing off.